Welcome to the High Rankings podcast, brought to you by Dispensary-Growth, the preeminent SEO agency for dispensaries. Each episode will dive into the world of search engine optimization for cannabis dispensaries. We'll discuss the latest strategies and tactics to help your dispensary rank higher on search engines and attract more patients and customers. So whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, join us as we explore how to maximize your online presence and stay ahead of the competition in the rapidly growing cannabis industry.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of High Rankings podcast with me, your favorite co-host, and the other guy. Speaking of, if you go check out our Instagram, I posted a picture of us from our trip. It is up there, so you can go check it out. You'll see who the nice one is. It's very clearly obvious.
See who the better looking one is. This
Obvious.
guy. Duh.
That would be me. Not even up for discussion. Good Lord. Anyway, we're on episode 77. We're going to be talking about Semrush. And actually, this is going to be a two-part edition because there's quite a lot to cover. And we do not want, you to lose your minds and get bored or just tune out. So we're going to do it in two parts. And also coming up, we are going to have a special guest on our podcast. And I'm not going to tell you who it is. You're going to have to tune in to find out. But that will be next week's podcast. So very excited about that. And yeah, I don't know what's new with you, but I can tell you that we here in the lovely state of Florida are gearing up for hurricane. I believe it's Hurricane Helene. Helene? It's 8.
Who's the guy that you just mentioned that is now in Florida?
Oh, Jim Cantore. Yeah, so Jim Cantore has literally been spotted in the next town above me, which where I am is like 2 blocks away, would be the boundary for that city. Yeah, so everybody who knows anything about weather knows if Jim Cantore shows up, you are effed, meaning that's where you're going to see the worst of the weather. Now, he could be just stopped for lunch on his drive up north because as it stands right now, the path of the hurricane, it will hit land north of us as it stands right now. But the mere fact that he is that close is concerning. But currently we're looking at potentially a Cat 3. They do think it would be high, fast moving. So that's good because that means less rain gets dumped on you. So whilst flooding is always an issue and storm surge is always an issue, obviously the quicker it can go over you, the less rain. So that always is helpful. Yeah, so that's what's happening in my world. So obviously the kids' school is closed this week on Thursday. Other counties are closed Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, depending on where they are. But we're prepped. I get prepped right at the beginning of the season with an extra water and extra propane. I make sure I have extra food and stuff for the pets so we don't have to like last minute run out and do anything, which is great. So that's really what's going on in my world. I don't really have anything else. Let me think. No, I don't really have anything exciting else to tell you.
So you're all prepped? You said like you're 100%.
Yeah. So
gas in the cars, things get weird.
Yeah, I put gas in the car today. We're not supposed to really, we might start seeing like outer effects like late tomorrow, but really Thursday's the day for us. Probably Wednesday night through Thursday. But I put gas in my car today. Anything that was outside the house has been bought in, like the rug that we have on the patio has been rolled up and moved. So that was all done yesterday. Yeah, and we have everything we need. And I always say, like at the beginning of the season, I always remind my husband, please get an extra 5-gallon water, please get extra propane, because then we have it. So you're not struggling looking for it, right before. Mm-hmm. We already have the stuff to board up the windows if we need to. So we already basically have everything. I just like to make sure that I have extra food for the cats and dogs because it's not that I'm like, oh, we're going to get smacked with a Cat 5. It's just if anything north of us gets hit and the infrastructure struggles, what can happen is your supply chain of getting things to you is now interrupted, right? So if everybody's rushed out before the hurricane and they've bought all the water and they've bought all the cat food and they've bought all the toilet paper, it takes longer for them to be able to restock it because the infrastructure above you, north of you is jacked. Mm-hmm. So that's all. That's the only reason I like to make sure I have extra on hand is so that A, if it does get jacked, I got nothing to worry about. But B, if people around me, like my neighbors or, like my husband's family or whatever, if there's something that they need, probably we've got it. Whether it's water, toilet paper, pet food, We have 2 generators. So yeah, it's more about the infrastructure around you interrupting life really than it is panicking that we're going to take a solid hit. So same with gas. Like always fill up your gas before the hurricane because you just don't know if that's going to get interrupted. Same thing.
Gotcha. Still pretty scary. Like I didn't know who that guy was, and then I looked up his name. I was like, oh yeah, that dude.
Yeah, that guy.
The crazy weather guy. Yeah, that would. Yeah, okay, that's cause for concern. But
Yeah,
if he was
he's like literally 5 minutes. Well, the town is like a few blocks away, like where the outline of the town is. So I just saw it came up on Twitter and I was like, oh shit.
What did I do last week? Looking at new stuff for my bike. I know this sounds like so trivial compared to for a hurricane. I looked at new parts for my bike. So I haven't seen like the first half of The Office. So my girlfriend and I were watching. She showed me like some of the episodes, and they were so
Which
damn
office?
funny.
The American or the British?
The American. I've seen like maybe half of the British episodes, but I never really got into The Office. Like I know Steve Carell is funny. I know like Dwight Schrute, and like I know who the characters are. I just never really got into the show. And some of that writing is so funny. So that was my girlfriend and I were just kind of laying low because last week was Hilton Head, and then I'm still recovering my hand and my shoulder from the crash. I do want to go to Trestle this week, just get in a couple more laps before the park closes. Park closes on the 29th, which I believe is a Sunday. And we're going to my buddy's wedding party, which is the night before. So we can't stay up. Normally, like my buddy's wedding party was not on Saturday night. I get a place there for a week, trying to go as much as I can. So thinking about heading up tomorrow until Saturday morning.
Right.
And then have the wedding party Saturday night. It is my birthday next week, so I know you already know that because it's circled on your calendar. So I don't know when I literally. So what?
It's one of our kids' birthdays tomorrow. That's how I always know.
Yeah. I don't even know. My parents asked me, "Hey, what do you want for your birthday?" And I said, "A condo in Woodland Park." And my mom's just like, "She's like, you're an idiot. You're just stupid."
I'm torn between 2 things for your birthday that are very, very similar, but one is like the lazier version of the other, and I think I'm gonna keep that.
I'm not even surprised. Like
No,
literally not even
because
surprised.
I know you, and I know if I get you the one that's not the lazier version, that you won't use it.
Depends what it is. I don't like friction. How about that?
I know,
don't
right?
like-
This is why I'm torn between the 2. Because Joe says to get one of them, and I said, I don't know. I think the other one would be better for him.
There's a reason why I'm like a platinum member, like on the Uber Eats, just because you push 4 buttons.
So what a cook. But that's why I got you the air fryer.
It's so easy to use.
Easiest
Yeah.
thing in the world.
You pull open the tray, you put food in there, and you push 2 buttons, and then you wait 20 minutes. Like
How
who
hard?
wouldn't do that?
Yeah, exactly.
Like I like that stuff. The whole
Yeah.
that's why SEO is like so like right in my alley because it's like people are looking for something, so why not make it easy for them to find it?
True. That's
And
very,
that's
very
basically what it is. So and then I
Yeah.
get poopy pants when I can't find it, and I fucking freak out, and then anyways.
Yeah, which is why I think I'm right in my choice. I mean, also, I
So
am a great gift giver. Your English candy stash.
oh yeah. Okay, so I had the caramel. I've been eating that. It's almost all gone. The best one I had so far, my favorite one was whatever the first one I had. It was kind of like it was like a white wrapper. I think we talked about it last week. Yeah, it's good. Candy. I love candy. So whatever that first one was my favorite. But I also went through one by one by one by one and
Yeah, I
just
wish
picked
we'd have
picked
known
my
which one that first one was. Because I don't.
picked my favorite. Yeah. But no, that is true. Good gift giver. So, anyways, yeah, birthday is next week, and yeah, the bike season is coming to an end. So that's kind of makes me sad. I do want to go. My hand still hurts. I think I fractured another bone in my hand. If I push back on it, I can't. It's even less range of motion than before I crashed. So they opened up one of my favorite trails. They were doing maintenance on it.
Yeah.
And I can still go. I'm just not going to go hard like I was before. I mean, we were hitting like 40 on some of those trails before.
Ugh.
But I don't think that's going to happen this year or next couple of days. Pardon me. I'm just going to take it easy, go slow. So yeah, just planning a trip up to the mountains. And what is this weekend? Oh yeah, looking forward to my buddy's wedding party. So the wedding party should be fun. It's a bunch of guys I haven't seen from hockey in a long time because I haven't been on the ice in like 6-8 months. and like going through like the RSVP list on his wedding website, you can see like, oh, here's like, I won't say the guy's name, John Doe and John Doe number 2 and John Doe number 3. I'm like, oh, I've never met those guys. Okay, should be cool. And then like I'm driving later in the day, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, that's Klinger. And that's like Pork Chop. And that's, they're all nicknames. Like, I don't even know these.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Okay.
been like so long, like I don't even fully forget like their real proper names. I'm just used to calling them. Everybody calls me Los. Yeah, so it'll be cool to see them. I haven't seen them in a while. Yeah, not get caught in a hurricane. But yeah, that was my weekend, and looking forward to this weekend too.
Well, hopefully I don't get blown away this weekend. Guess we'll find out. No, I don't think I think we're gonna get some winds and rain, but I don't think we're at this point it doesn't look like we're in for the worst of it. So the kids will be happy. They'll just have a rainy day at home with no school, and that'll be that for
Oh,
us.
they'll be happy. Yeah.
Yeah, perfectly. That'll be perfectly fine for them. Also, what's vexing me this week?
Mhm.
Honestly, I think the only thing I could say is honestly vexing me is social media, specifically Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, specifically F1 Twitter, specifically people that don't know the first thing about F1 that have a favorite driver that just absolutely most amount of shit about any other driver that's not their driver. They don't know what they're talking about and it's just awful. I have to block so many people. I can't stand it.
It's only Twitter, not like Reddit or anything.
No, because on Reddit, like F1 Reddit subreddit is fine. There's F1 Reddit, and then it's Formula One, and then there's Dank Formula One, which is like all of like the funniest shit. But like people have their opinions on Twitter, but like not Twitter, on Reddit, but like they're not like I know this is gonna sound awful, and I'm really sorry, but there's no other way of explaining it. These are like typically young girls who are in their 20s, mid 20s, who probably got into F1 through Drive to Survive, which is totally fine. Not judging that, like more people that follow the sport, and if however you come to it is 100% fine by me. But they don't know shit about the history of the sport, and like they'll come on, like like they'll have their favorite driver or possibly their favorite team, and they will literally just shit on anything any other driver does. If they can take a negative take on something another driver does, they'll do it. Like, for example, this last weekend, Lando Norris won his third race. And I'm slightly biased because I would have to say, if I had to pick a team, it would be McLaren, just based on the fact that they're English. They've had a lot of great success with English drivers, been around a long time. I've followed them for a long time when I was back home. So Lando Norris was winning the race. Now you got to remember, this race is a night race. It's in Singapore, and it is ungodly hot. Like a lot of these drivers really struggled with this heat. It's probably not I would say Qatar might be the hottest race on the calendar, but it's up there. A couple of the drivers had heat stroke. You got to remember that a lot of them, their drinks that they have, the water they have to drink is not cold, because where they store the water bladders is right near the engine. So it's warm water if they drink it at all. It's hot as shit. So Lando Norris is like 20 something seconds in the lead, and he's in I would say, the end stages of the race. And a couple of times he like clips the wall or almost clips the wall, which he's going at 200 something miles an hour on a 56 lap race in ungodly heat, and the concentration, it's like a workout for a good hour and a half, 2 hours. And these people are like, oh, he's such a shit driver that even when he's in the lead by 20 seconds and there's no stress on him and no pressure on him, that he can't even keep the car off the wall. And I'm just like, I get that your favorite driver is not Lando Norris, it's whoever it is, but like the fact that you don't understand when you sit there and say that this guy is not under any stress or under any pressure whatsoever, like you clearly don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You go sit in an F1 car and drive it 200 something miles an hour for 56 laps in 90-degree plus heat with no water, really, and you keep that thing off the walls. Like, it's their takes that they have on everything that is just so ridiculous and so biased, and like not acknowledging like the skill level that these people have. Or a driver will say something and they'll just completely pick it apart. And I'm just like I have F1 Twitter because I want to find out what's going on with the drivers or the teams or any changes that are being made to personnel or like actual F1 pundits like takes on things. Whether I agree or don't agree, it doesn't really matter. But like these 20-something-year-old young girls, and that's the thing I think that annoys me is like that's typically what it is. Like they are the reason that fans who came in via Drive to Survive are all getting a bad rap because people are assuming that they're all these 20-something young girls who don't know anything about the sport, who they're just in it because their driver looks good or looks nice or is handsome or whatever. It's that contingent of fans that gives everybody else a bad name because there are a lot of people that came in through Drive to Survive who are young in their 20s, but they educate themselves and they understand racing and they've learned the history and all that kind of stuff. And it's these minority that pop up on my Twitter and I just want to punch them through my phone. And that's what's vexing me this week.
How are they not vexed, Caspots?
It's about like shut your pie hole. Like understand your bias. Like understand your bias and the things that you're saying. And if your driver was to have said this or was to have done this, how would you feel about it? Right? Because every single driver out there makes a mistake, whether it's on the racetrack, when they open their mouth at a press conference, on a Twitch stream, they all make mistakes. And you would give your driver or your team the benefit of the doubt, or you would see it a different way if it was your driver, right? So your hot takes about calling how you're going to call one of the top drivers in the world shit is beyond me. Or they'll claim that like, oh, it's a paid driver, it's this, it's that. Like, understand the sport. Understand that like, yeah, there are some drivers that do drive F1 that probably shouldn't be there. And that might only be there because of their daddy, Lance Stroll. But he's also had to earn enough super license points to get there in the first place. So I don't know. I just think it's very Wattpad to me. It's very like immature posting, uneducated. And to call a driver who is under that kind of stress, who clips the wall like a shit driver, he's one of the best drivers in the world. Like, and if their driver had done that, if their driver says Max, right? Do you know the amount of times Max has clipped a wall when he's been leading a race? Like, I don't know. I just think before you tweet, but I could say that about a lot of subjects. I really could.
That's not
You know
what
what I
I
mean? Like, I'm sure when you see like hockey stuff on there, you're like, you see people that just tweet the most stupid stuff. Obviously, politics would probably be the top one. People just post random stupid shit. Like, I think like because F1 is like one of the things I really pay attention to. That's why it vexes me so much. But if I was into like the NFL as much as I'm into F1 or something like that, I'm sure I would find just as many annoying posts. They're out there. They're not hard to find. It's just annoying having to block so many people.
At what point do you just pull yourself out of that thread?
Oh, I don't. I block. I I block because that's not in my like the one I'm following. It's like the suggested ones, right? So the minute that I see some stupid immature take up from somebody that doesn't really understand, or when they're deliberately looking to find something wrong with the driver, I just block that person because one, I don't want them coming up in my feed again, but two, that's probably not going to be the only time they have or they will post something equally as stupid. And again, it's not stupid because I disagree with it, because I can disagree with people's opinions on things. It's stupid because this person is clearly doesn't like that driver, and so they are finding fault where really there's no fault to be found, you know.
Right.
Like
Gotcha.
another example, Alex Albon said something about Colapinto on the beginning of the race this week. And Alex, he was physically in his car, he was physically driving, and he said something about Colapinto, how he dive bombed, right? And then Alex's race was over early because I think he had overheating issues with his PU or something. So anyway, after he got out of his car, blah, 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 he had a chance to go back and look at exactly what Colapinto did. And he completely changed his opinion on it because he was able to see it from not within his own car's perspective, but like big picture of exactly what happened. And so he came back. So when he was asked about it in press conferences and stuff, he's like, no, once I had a chance to look at it and understand what he did, like, yeah, no, I totally see it. It was fine. No big deal. But people are still harping on about what he initially said instead of the fact that he revised it when he was able to see the bigger picture. It's that kind of thing. It's like you're just looking to find fault with somebody, you know.
If you look hard enough, you'll always find them.
That's kind of where I'm at. And it's like you should just be able to enjoy the sport. Why do you have to pick apart? And Alex is one of the nicest drivers on the grid also. So it's like, why, like, it's like you're looking to find fault, and then you become all negative on like, what's that going to achieve? So anyway, that's a really long what's vexing me, but that is what's vexing me. Like I said, real problems in the world is what Kaz doesn't like on Twitter. But whilst the hurricane is barreling towards Florida,
Yeah, as you're about to get got.
Kaz doesn't like Twitter, which I think
uh,
we can fault with Twitter, but or X or whatever the hell we call it.
I
But
didn't go
anyway,
on there anymore.
okay, so let's moving on to what we're actually here to discuss, what everybody is here to listen to, because I'm sure it's not me vexing. It is about Semrush. So I will say that we here use Semrush. There is also Ahrefs, which we will not be doing a deep dive into Ahrefs because we are not as familiar with it at all. I'm sure somebody out there has done a deep dive into it. It's just not going to be us. So if you're looking for that, sorry to disappoint you, but that's not going to be us. So again, just to reiterate, this is going to be a 2-part podcast just because there's a lot and we don't want to bore you. And whilst my voice is beautiful, Ollie's is not, and therefore we have to give you a break. So anyway, so just real quickly before we dive into all of the wonderful things that Semrush does, I'm just going to quickly go over what Semrush is if you are not familiar. I would imagine most of you listening to this podcast are quite familiar, but just in case, we'll just give you a very quick overview. So it's an amazing piece of software or a platform, I guess, that is an integral part of helping your website to rank higher in Google or search engines in general, and to help you be more visible online. And again, the same applies with Ahrefs. Like, just remember we're specifically talking about Semrush, but Ahrefs, same kind of thing. So there's a bunch of super useful tools that we're going to talk about that Semrush helps you with. For example, keyword research. It can help you with your competitor analysis, gap analysis, help you run audits, help you optimize content. It can help you with your local SEO. It can help identify the type of content you have, which we just talked about, informational, transactional, commercial. We just did a whole podcast on that not that long ago, actually. So those are a few things that it can help you with. Also, there are free elements to Semrush, I would say, but I do think that if you pay for the premium, that it is a bit more beneficial because you do obviously get more in-depth tools that it helps you with, but also it can help you with your on-page SEO. It can help you with backlinks. It can help you with tracking. So it's invaluable, and I don't know how you could possibly do SEO without Semrush or Ahrefs. Unless there's something else out there that I don't know about, but I will tell you that is in daily use for us constantly. It's constantly open on our laptops.
Every single day. And yeah, we're just partial to it. We've used both Semrush, Ahrefs. I learned how to do it when I started company years ago. Semrush was just it. And when I worked with the person whom I learned keyword research from and like the basics, he used Semrush. So it's like using Local Falcon or Bright Local, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
For like local
I think
citations.
it's whatever you're introduced to, right?
Yeah.
Because you get familiar with it easier. I think it's probably the best way.
Yeah.
So we quickly talked about what Semrush is and some of the features. I would say personally for me, what I have used it most for would be keyword research. As overall in general, Charlie is way more knowledgeable about Semrush as a whole than I am. Although I would probably say in terms of research, I love to research.
Yeah, you're better research. Well, you're a creeper in general, but you're better with like.
Listen, there's not much I can't find on the internet. Having things accessible as public domain or publicly accessible is phenomenal. And if you need to know something about somebody, I can probably find it out for you. But no, I am a creeper. I do love to creep. I do love to, in terms of work, I do love to see what other people are up to. And I love to play around with nuances when it comes to keywords, because things like changing and for or versus, like the difference those things can actually make in terms of volume and keyword difficulty. You might not think that they would make a difference, but they do. So being able to kind of play around with the keyword research on Semrush is great. I will have to tell you that my favorite tool on Semrush is going to be the keyword magic tool.
Keyword magic. So I've got Semrush in front of me right now. Can you go into what the keyword magic tool is and what it does.
Let's type in indica. Indica. Okay. So when you type in indica, it brings up a whole long list. It actually brings up a few things. So you can sort by all or you can sort by questions, which I love. Because if you're trying to do say like an FAQ page or even at the bottom of a blog, a few FAQs, and you want to find keywords that are in the form of a question that have a high volume, you can literally sort by question, which I freaking love about that. You can also match the exact thing you typed in or a broad match, which gives you the keyword, but also it's not just indica, right? So for example, I typed in indica. So it gave me a list of 710,000 keywords. And the top of that is indica versus sativa. It tells you the intent of the keyword, which in this particular case is informational. It gives you your volume, which in this case is 165,000. That's how many people search for indica versus sativa in a month. And then it gives you your keyword difficulty, which in this case is 74%. And then it literally just go down the list. So it's given you 710,000 different keywords. You can exclude keywords in that. You can specifically include keywords. You can set what volume you want to go for, what intent you want to go for. It is a phenomenal tool for keyword research. To me, I think it's the best tool for me to do my keyword research because it's giving you a bigger picture in terms of that one word or that phrase you typed in. You can select it by location, i.e. worldwide, United States, you can do United Kingdom. I just think it's probably it is to me the most useful thing that I use when it comes to actually doing researches. So yeah, that would be me, but you might have a different opinion on that when it comes to keyword research, but I love it because it also gives you obviously the specific word that you typed in this case, indica, but it can give you long tail keywords, short tail keywords, and they're all there. And you just literally refine it as much as you want to refine it for what you're using it for.
So you can put guardrails on there for like, if you put an indica and you said 79, let's see, I was just messing around with this, 710,000 keywords, you can prune that by saying, give me volume between 10,000 and 100,000. We can filter that. Yeah. Then saying keyword difficulty, we're going to go easy.
Yeah.
Depending on your domain authority, backlink profile, all that. Well, we couldn't find any data related to your request. That's not going to happen. Okay.
Well, also,
let's try difficult.
Word, right? You obviously picked it. I picked indica, so it's obviously a very popular thing.
So if we tried like purple weed, that's a popular one.
Because you also remember, we've talked about this before, depending on the domain authority of your website, that's going to dictate the keyword difficulty that you're going to be able to reach in a reasonable amount.
Yeah. Domain authority, backlink profile, all that. Yeah, like what you rank for now, like all that. So purple weed is 12,000, KD of 27, purple on, and then if you click on the keyword in those results, it'll tell you who is ranking for what. It says keyword ideas, and the keyword variations like purple weed, purple on weed, weeds with purple flowers, purple weed strains, and then you have questions. Why is some weed purple? What makes weed purple? And then what I like, when you scroll to the very bottom, you have the search results.
Yeah.
So number one is myplants.com/weed/purple weed strains. And then like number 3 is Reddit, of course. And then, how about that? Client is number 5. Another one is number 6. Adobe is number 10. Yeah, so it tells you who is ranking for what, targeting that specific keyword. And that's like pretty cool. So you can just reverse engineer or at least look at, be a creeper and see what they're doing.
Yeah, and you can filter however you want also, which I think is important. So you can filter it by intent, you can filter it by volume, you can filter it by KD. So you can filter so many different ways. So whatever's going to make sense for you, it's there. It's great. I love it.
Yeah. Okay. So what else? So we've got that. So what I like, I think what I look at the most is the domain overview. So if you pull up Semrush on the left-hand side, under competitive research, look at domain overview. So if I'm going to put in let's put on Amazon, it's going to be like 1 billion.
I've never seen an authority score of 100 before.
Yeah, 7.9 billion backlinks. Okay. So if we put in a popular retailer like Rise and we just plug this into the domain overview, okay, it's going to show you their authority score. So that's a score 1 out of 100. So how authoritative is this to Google? So what's your backlink profile? You have authoritative backlinks. Are they clean, non-toxic, of course? What's your content profile? Traffic visitors, of course. And then you have organic search traffic to the right of that metric. Of course, this is third-party software, so this is estimated organic visitors in the last 30 days. And then you've got backlinks to the right of that. And as you scroll down, you can see like a 2-year organic traffic, Google traffic, a 2-year chart of like, is it going up? Is it going down month over month? That's very easy to read.
You can change it to as little as a month, can't you? On that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You can do like 1 month, you can do like 6 months, 1 year. I like 1 year or 2-year. And then as you scroll down, what I like to look at as well is top organic keywords. So how many keywords do they have indexing on Google? They've got over 75,000. And that attributes to their monthly search traffic over 1 million, which is bonkers. And of course, their high backlink profile got over 143,000. And then if you click on view details under top organic keywords, top organic keywords has the top 5 keywords that are pulling in the traffic. And then if you click on view details, it's going to list all of the keywords that they have under their domain. And that's very, very valuable. And with the corresponding keyword, you can scroll to the right and you can see what page is ranking for that respective keyword. Like when you go and you create your content and like you're building your backlinks, you can see what your competition is. Like you can clearly see, we say all the time, it's like playing poker with the cards showing. This is how you get to that. Yeah, that's what I like. I like the domain overview. And since you're, like we said, a creeper, how would you go about the competitor analysis? Like what would you look at with that?
See, that's not really my strong point. I gotta tell you, like, I know how to do, you can do a keyword gap, but I never feel like, I don't know. I always feel like just searching it myself I find it easier. But the way that you can do it is there is a tool under competitive research called Keyword Gap. So you would type in your domain, whatever your website is, and then whatever, I guess, your top 3 competitors would be. You don't have to use all 3, but you can. And you can select whether it's picking organic keywords, paid keywords, or PLA keywords. But obviously for dispensaries, you're going to be using organic keywords. And then you would hit compare. And then depending on how many other competitors you add in, it's going to show you any keyword overlaps that you have. It's going to show you top opportunities that you're missing, that your competitors are ranking for that you're not. It'll show you where you're strong, where they are not strong. It'll show you how many you're missing. And then obviously it will give you your volume, your keyword difficulty, etc., etc. So that's how you can do it. I don't use it a lot, but that's just me. I know a lot of people who solely really rely on this. I don't do the majority of the research for us anymore. So that's probably playing into why I don't really use it as much. But I know our researchers use it a lot. But that would be what I would do. I'd use the keyword gap under competitive research.
I would use the keyword gap. I would put in basically what you said, the top 3 competitors. And then the takeaway from that is I would see what's missing. So somebody somewhere is getting 80% of the traffic. And I would see what is missing. And I would see what the biggest lever I can pull is in the shortest amount of time. So like what keyword can I go after? Will move the needle, quote, the fastest and make the biggest impact. And I would do that under the missing tab, missing content. I would do that under the missing tab when you look at all of your competitors. That's what I go to first, because I don't think there's value. Well, I guess there is. I don't think there's much value in looking at what is shared or weak. I'm looking at the screen right now, so I can say this. I think it's.
I agree with that because
I think the most value to me is looking at what's missing and looking at who in your community, who in your like city, like your competitors, is ranking for what you want to go after.
Right. But if you're looking at like where you're weak or what the overlap is, and it happens to be something that you're trying to go after, it might be beneficial in terms of, if I just need to go in and optimize that page that already exists, I could start taking traffic away from them. So I'm not saying it's a priority because it's probably not, but I do think it is useful.
Okay. It's definitely useful. I think at the start of any campaign, you always want to optimize pages that are already indexed on there.
Yeah.
So I guess that's where Untapped could come into play. I don't know. Oh, yeah. Okay. No. So it would go under shared. So the biggest lever you can pull to make the most impact would be to optimize content that's already on the site. So you can look at shared. If you're going up against a really, really big competitor, most likely there's going to be some shared content. So I would go after that and then you can look at what's missing. So go up to shared first. If it's brand new campaign, and then you can go under missing and then weak and then strong and see what those is. But those opportunities are, pardon me. But keep an eye on those on pages. They'll list the pages and keep an eye on them in Search Console too. If you have to add content, you have to point a couple backlinks there. But yeah, this keyword gap analysis thing is pretty cool. That's one of my favorite features on it.
Yeah, I think I'm just not as familiar with it just because, like I said, I haven't really done as much research lately as I have been. But I think that's the great thing about Semrush is that there are so many useful tools and everybody kind of has their favorite for different reasons or because they're more familiar with something. But yeah, the gap analysis is because you can also do backlink gap analysis too, which I gotta tell you, I am not familiar with, but I'm assuming it works the same way. You just type in you and the competitor and then boom. But backlinks are such an important part of SEO, and to be able to like even have that kind of gap analysis, I think is like so invaluable. But yeah, I definitely the gap analysis is what super comes in helpful. And then this part I am not familiar with, but you can do audits on this as well, right? Like site audits and stuff.
Yeah, we use a couple tools for audits. We mainly use Screaming Frog and then GT Metrics, but you can run audits from here. So what you can do is create a project with your dispensary's website. And then on that project, you can create scheduled audits, which I think is awesome, especially if you're putting up content regularly. You've got your content calendar hammered out. You've got your cadence hammered out. So every Monday, every Wednesday, and every Friday, you're putting out content. Something along the way will break. Maybe there's a outbound link or something like that, maybe a missing title tag. That audit from Semrush will snag that for you. So yes, you can set up automated audits, and I think they're awesome. I think they should be done at least a couple times a week. Some people say that's overkill, but again, if you're putting up like content on a large scale, you absolutely should audit your website regularly. You catch any mistakes, anything slipping through the cracks, anything like that. And also performance too, right? Like if something suddenly drops, maybe there's an algorithm change, maybe your competitor came in and just took your keyword, you know exactly what to look at, what page to look at, and then you can get a pretty good idea of how to fix that with that tool. And then of course combine the audit with your Google Analytics and Search Console. You should be able to get your answer from that.
That's why we love it. It just does so much. It's just so resourceful.
Yeah, Semrush is badass. I love Semrush. Semrush is dope.
It is. It's pretty amazing. Okay, so we're going to end part 1 here. But in the next episode, part 2 of Semrush, we are going to talk about how it can help you with your on-page SEO. We're going to talk about, obviously, more about backlink analysis and how to build the backlinks, and then what kind of tracking and reporting Semrush can offer and be helpful. So that will be coming up in the second part of this episode. In the meantime, you can find us in the usual places. Instagram. Don't forget, there's that selfie that we took. It's up on our Instagram. Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, and any of those places. You can leave us a comment, a like, a subscription. You can give us a review. If you have any questions for us, anything you'd like us to go over, anything you'd like us to go over in a bit more depth, we are always willing to take any suggestions on board. We'll be back with another episode soon. Also, don't forget, we do have a special guest coming up, which we're very excited about. So listen out for that. Hopefully, I don't get blown away this week. Hopefully, Charlie doesn't completely ruin his hand. And if neither of those two things happen, you can catch us in the next episode.
Peace.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of the High Rankings podcast, brought to you by Dispensary-Growth, the preeminent SEO agency for dispensaries. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you found value in the insight and the tips we shared. If you did, please hit that subscribe button. And if you're feeling super generous, we would love it if you left us a review. If there's a specific topic you'd like us to cover in a future episode, or if you have any questions, you can go ahead and find us on LinkedIn or YouTube. We'll see you next time.